In the 60s, I was not around for this. Yes, sir. Yes, I celebrated a birthday yesterday, and thank y'all for all that. I told my turn 30 yesterday. Funny how nobody believed me. That's another story for Washington. But in the 60s, there was a television show that I remember in syndication broadcasts. And Bill Collier was the host. I believe Mike Wallace was the pilot host of the show titled To Tell the Truth. Anybody here today? And what that show depicted was, they had 3 contestants, Brother Wayne, and what they would do is the host would ask a myriad of questions in the hopes that they would find out who was telling the truth of their identity. Now, every one of us has some identity crisis that we go through. Y'all gonna get with me today? Yeah. There are points in our lives that we want to cover up because they were not that pretty and we really don't want to remember them. Is that right? The Bible is very clear when it says all have sinned, help me Paul, and come short of the glory of God. There are some times in our lives for us that we are not happy about what has transpired. We go through the dastardly point of our lives and we're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. We're trying to say, what must I do to be better and not bitter? And we tried everything. We tried Miller Lite, Bud Light, Cavassier, Red Coke, Smirnoff Vodka, Jimmy, Johnny, Sally, Susan. At what point will we try Jesus? We do everything. We do everything. About 12 seasons that this show was on. And what they did was every night that they came on, it was the same base substratum of the show, but it was a different set of contestants. Now, each one of us, you do know that there are folks that allow us to see the real them. But there are folk that allow us to only see their representative. Oh, come on, I ain't got nobody in here. You know, let me say it like this so y'all understand it. Y'all not gonna get it biblically. Let me say it secularly. When you ask that beautiful girl out on a date, you take her to a nice candlelit restaurant. You go in, you got on all of your fine rings. You probably look like Mr. Brown. You got your nice Bobby 500 suit on, and you got your Steve Harvey shirt on, and you got your Steve Harvey Evan Picot tie, and you shaved, and you got some smell good, as my grandma would say. Got it on, and you get to the restaurant, and you look across the table, and the conversation is very silent and quiet. And if you're like me, you can't hear that well, and you gotta lean in to make sure that you're hearing exactly what is said. That is really the representative. Because the real person is the person on Saturday morning that get up with overnight bad breath, that gets up with their hair all over their head. Got anybody in here? They don't look like they did on Friday night. Help me somebody. But on Saturday morning, they began to become real. That's the person that you really want to know, because 90% of the time, that's the person you're going to see. Anybody in church today? Now listen, man, mad at you for having a Saturday morning. Look, all of us go through it. I don't know about you, but I didn't get up smelling like this. I didn't get up looking like Mr. Brown. But there was a process that I had to go through. And the process that I had to go through enabled me to clean up. Well, isn't that what Jesus did on Calvary? He cleaned up what man that we watched over the years, we are seeking to find God in a maze of perplexity. Called our lives with the hope that we'll be better and not bitter. We spend too much time being bitter and not enough time where we being better. Our stance in our pulchritude. Our stance is not in our pulchritude, but it's in our ability to follow the path, to follow the precept, and follow the placement that God has for our lives. How often do we spend quality time with God so that we can be close to Him and He can rule and super rule our lives? We spend a lot of times in our secular places. But we've got to be able to stand before God and spend time in heavenly places. Now, I'm not talking about being so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we need to spend our time being in right relationship and fellowship with God. Do I have anybody in here? When we spend time with God in Bible study, when we spend time with God in prayer meeting, when we spend time with God in our own personal communion, the devil will not be able to infiltrate our lives because we have our right fellowship with God. And what God does is He puts a blocker in between us and the devil, so that way He is a blocker and we don't have to worry about the enemy at any point. Why? Because all we got to do is call on the name of the Lord. As we enter solemn assembly, as we enter our fast and consecration song, we are now being challenged by God. And within ourselves to move into the place of promise, the place of power, and the place of praise. And I don't know about you, but I didn't come all the way to church today not to give God the praise. No. We got this thing mixed up. We expect to be entertained when we come to church. We want the choir to entertain us. We want the pulpit to entertain us. We want everybody to behold us. I ain't got nobody in here. Everybody doing it before now. We want everybody to kiss our ring, and it's up to us to tell God, I just come in to say thank you, because if it had not been for you, I would not be able to be in the house of God. Clap your hands for the first time and shout hallelujah. The song says, I want to be a follower of Christ. But we also really want the cost that's involved to follow Christ. Yes, salvation is free, but there is a cost to life in God. Well, preacher, but it's a cost to life in God. It is you turning down the things of the world and telling the truth on yourself, looking in the mirror, saying, I know that I am a wretch undone, so therefore let me change where I am, and I can't do the changing, but I know a man from Galilee who not only can change my life, he can change my attitude, which will help my altitude be greater, higher, stronger in God. Why is it that when we get to the place in God that we become less than what we were when we needed God, when we didn't have anything? Let me say it this way. When we was broke, I'm sorry, I guess all y'all got money here. Okay, that's fine. Let me talk to somebody real, who, we talk to some real folk in here. Come on, Pops, help me. When we was broke, we was on our knees every single day, crying out to God, saying, Lord, change my financial picture. And when you change it, God, I'm going to bless you. And you gave God a smile offering. But as soon as you got an extra zero and the one moved to a two, do I have anybody in there? Then you forgot God, and you forgot that you promised God that you would bless him back. Then you wonder why you don't have anything now. So here we are. We've come to the place now. This is where we're looking at God. Saying, Lord, I need thee every hour. Bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee. Well, God is saying, you've been coming all day long. But you have not gotten to the place that I want you to be. This is the truth of our lives. Look at the text today. We are seeing in our individual lives through the ocular view of David the atrocities that he had committed. And everybody knows the story of David and Bathsheba. Yeah. Everybody understands that she was bathing in the courtyard. And David, instead of turning around, going on back in the house, and said, this ain't a place for my eyes. David said, well, looking really won't hurt me. So he spent a little time looking, and I believe he spent a little too much time. Glad everybody in here. I'm sorry, all y'all saved. Let me get to the unsaved folk that had some proclivities in their life. And what happened was, he decided that he had to have Bathsheba, you know the story, and he got her, and then all of a sudden she came back and told him, well, David, I got no problem. And he said, well, what is it? What is it? She said, well, I'm pregnant. And David said, oh my God, well, I know what to do. I'll call her husband. Yes, because she was married. I'll call her husband off the front line, and I'll have him go lay with his wife, and then we'll have what's called a cover. Anybody in here? And then you know how you like to cover stuff up. Everybody in church. You don't want nobody to know that you didn't see it, so you point the finger at everybody else, and so that your stuff will be covered up. But I'll stop by to tell you that even though I might not see you, God will pull the cover right after you. Right now, I ain't got nobody in here. I know y'all want to hear y'all will get a blessing out of the church, but if you tell the truth, God will bless you just the same way. Anybody with me today? So David decided that he would call her husband off the front line. And instead of him going, as he said, to lay with your wife, he was so in for the king and the leader that he laid at his doorstep. No doubt when David got up the next morning, he said, woo, got away from that woman. And then all of a sudden, he got ready to go get the morning newspaper and saw Uriah laying at the door. No, man, that infuriated him because he sent him on a mission. Why? Because he knew he was wrong. He said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll send him to the front line where I know he'll get healed. We call it the infantry today. And I'll send him to the front line, and I know that he'll get healed. But see, God sees everything that we do. Anybody in here? And I don't care how you try to get away from it until you tell the truth. God will make sure that your sin finds you. Anybody in here today? So the enemy comes to do three things: to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And subsequently, he will not stop until he has accomplished his goal. This is why we combat the enemy by staying inextricably intertwined in God. Yeah, big word. It means we got to stay saved. Anybody in here? Yeah. I mean, y'all might catch up with me after a while. You got to stay saved. And you got to, when you get up in the morning, you got to have Jesus on your mind. When you're walking in the noonday and you're about ready to cuss out the boss, you got to have Jesus on your mind. And in the evening when you get home and you're mad at the world, you got to have Jesus on your mind. And when you go to sleep, you got to go to sleep with Jesus on your mind, because the enemy is just waiting to get a place where he can get a foothold. Go ahead, everybody in here. He don't want to ride in the back seat. He don't want to ride in the front seat. He just say, well, look, I'll try for you. You ain't even got to do that. And the next thing you know, you're on your way to a burning hell. Somebody, for the second time, clap your hands and shout. The text records the accounts of David as he was facing a truthful moment in his life, because he was not where God wanted him to be. Now let me help you all today understand that it is natural for us to fall off the salvation road. Now I'm not giving you a license to sin. I don't want nobody to go out here and say, well, I got my sin ticket, I'm ready to go. It is natural because the Bible says all have sinned. This is why Paul also said that I must decrease so he can increase. Do I have anybody in here? Any Bible readers in here? When we decrease, we realize that it's nothing of our own that we can do. When we decrease, we realize that God has got the master plan of everything. When we decrease, we realize that God is in full